Everybody. So today we're going to talk about the Time Lord, the yearly Time Lord, and Annual Perfections just a little bit. Because after the last transit video that I did, I got some questions via email about what these are and what these mean. And I do think that they are pretty important in transit. So they should be talked about a little bit. But first, before I do that, I want to throw out there that a week from today, on October 2nd, my course starts. It's 6 weeks. It's about past lives and present life mission or missions, if you will. It'll deal with the nodal axis, Pluto and the Pluto polarity points, aspects made to these things to kind of give you an idea as to where you are coming from a previous lifetime and where you wanted to go and grow into in this lifetime. Move this because the incense is getting kind of crazy. Where you wanted to go and move into in this lifetime. The draconic chart will also be covered in this course. And I believe it's class 5. Because when I do these readings for people, I do throw the draconic chart in there as part 2. So it will be covered as well, a little bit differently, kind of in addition to this stuff, to this other stuff, the nodal axis and Pluto and the Pluto polarity point. This course is, like I said, it's 6 weeks. It takes place on Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Time over Zoom. The classes will be recorded. So if you cannot make a class, you can always have the recording. You will also get notes and you will get homework. I do like homework. I believe that practice is how we learn things. Got to practice. So I will provide homework as well that you can do or not do. But the course runs from October 2nd through November 6th. So if anybody is interested, you can go to saturnseason.com and it's under courses and classes. And it's the first option. I'll also put the link in the description box of this video. So I had to throw that out there first. And the course is $200 in total, but I am willing to do payment installments of $100 each, such as like $100 before the course starts and then $100 at the beginning of November. So that option is available as well. And if you need some other kind of arrangement worked out, let me know. You can email me at saturnseason. You can email me at saturnseason@gmail.com. Saturnseason@gmail.com. Yeah. And we can work something out. So I wanted to throw that out there first. I also wanted to throw out that recently there have been some scam accounts on Instagram that have popped up using my face and my shit, stealing my shit. This is not uncommon for Instagram as a whole. This is a pervasive problem. But I wanted to mention, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I am at Saturn Season Astrology. No weird fucking dashes, fucking dots, fucking underscores, fucking numbers, none of that bullshit. Just at Saturn Season Astrology. That is my Instagram. The Instagram for Let's Fuck with Astrology, which pretty much has the same stuff as at Saturn Season Astrology, is at Let's Fuck with Astrology. Only 2 Instagram accounts that I have anything to do with, but at Saturn Season Astrology is the one that I use regularly all the time. So just want to throw that out there in case anybody wants to follow or has been followed by some other variation of at Saturn Season Astrology, like at Saturn Season Astrology 1 or at Saturn_Season Astrology or any of this other bullshit. Those are not me. I am at Saturn Season Astrology. Just want to put that out there. Okay. So Annual Profections and the Time Lord. Every year you enter a new house year. Every year of your life. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me screen share real quick. I'm on Zoom today so that I can show you all what the fuck I'm looking at. Okay, so I made my own. It's like home drawn and whatever. But every year of your life, you will be in a certain house year. Like if you're 7 years old, you're in an 8th house year. If you are 46 years old, you're in an 11th house year. If you're 74 years old, you're in a 3rd house year. So on and so forth. And essentially what this means is that year, whatever house year you are in through Annual Profections is that house's area of life, those areas of life that house deals with become a big deal for the year in question. Like, for instance, I am in an 11th house year. I'm 34 right now. I'll be 35 at the end of November. But I'm 34 right now. So 11th house areas of life would be a big deal to me this year, and they have been. Things like groups of people. I've been asked to join a couple of different groups of people, which has really been very fitting. Groups of one is a group of astrologers called Universal Sync, and another is a metaphysical community called Evolve Me. Both of these groups reach out to me in an 11th house year, which feels fucking fitting as shit. Since the 11th house does deal with groups and shit like that. All of these take place online. 11th house is internet, which also fits. Also, the 11th house can be things like long-term goals, hopes, wishes. I have definitely been focused a lot on those this year. And even on community, even with my own course that I taught, the fundamentals of chart weaving, there was a real community feel to this course. That was important to me, that this was like a community. This felt like a fucking community. This wasn't just me fucking lecturing to the students. I wanted to actually have them engaged. I wanted a community feel to all of this. And I do feel like that was successful. I wanted to give these students a community. And I do feel like I was able to achieve that, which makes me feel good that I was able to achieve that. Of course I did, it's not like I didn't lecture at all. I did speak, I did teach, but I didn't want it to just be getting up there and being like, blah, 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 you know. So a lot of 11th house themes have definitely been important this year. They have definitely come out to play. So knowing how old you are and knowing what house year, hopefully you know how old you are, but knowing what house year that you would fall in based on how old you are or how old you're going to turn, right? Your birthday is really close. Looking forward to the future. Knowing what house year you are in via Annual Profections will give you an idea as to what areas of life may be very important in the coming year or in the year that you're currently in or whatever. And you might notice trends and things like, I don't know, you could think, but like in my case, I'm 34 and 11th house year. So I could think back to when I was 10. Was there a similar flavor or vibe to things as this year? Not exactly the same, because obviously there are transits and secondary progressions and solar arcs and things like that do make a difference. But the themes of like 11th house things coming up when I was 10 and coming up when I was 22. Yeah. You can look for trends like that too. So like if you remember like some particular year was really hard for you, and you see that same year, the same house year is coming up, it might give you an idea as you might kind of be thinking, okay, so this might be time to get ready for whatever. Or if like, let's say, I don't know, let's say 17 was a really great age for you, like a really great age. And you're about to turn 29. Now, 29 is also around the time of Saturn return, so this might not be the greatest example. But if 17 was really great, you might be able, you was like ridiculously great. You might expect that 29 might not be so bad. Meaning your Saturn return may not be so difficult, though that is in no way universal and probably a shit example because, yeah, your Saturn return happens when you're 29. Let me take this off for now. So that's kind of what the wheel looks like. So you can figure out kind of what house year you're in. Now from there, you would want to look at what the planetary ruler of that house is in your chart. Let me go ahead and screen share again real quick. Okay. Let's see if it'll let me do it. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to use my chart as an example because I have the clearance too. So because I'm in an 11th house year, I have Libra on the cusp of my 11th house right here, which makes Venus my Time Lord for the year. This also makes the first house important too, because Venus falls in the first house. So it does add a first house flavor to it, to this year as well, such as, like things having to do with the self. Um, my natural reactions, temperaments, things like that coming into play, being important, all of those kinds of first house things. And there are other first house things, but you get the idea. Do come into play this year for me. So you would definitely also want to look at where that planetary ruler falls to find the Time Lord. And that house where the Time Lord falls also becomes important. Now, I'll pull it with transits just so you can see. Okay, so the Time Lord is one of the most important things you can look at in terms of transits, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that doesn't mean that other transits are important. Don't get me wrong. But when I do reports for people that are like annual profection, yearly transits, solar return charts, because I'll do like a part one that's like about like the transits via annual profections and the Time Lord and stuff. And then I'll do another part that has to do with the solar return. I love doing these reports, by the way. They're a lot of fun and they're really cool. I think they're really cool. I've been told they're cool too. But kind of integrating both of these things. But I definitely focus in the transit part of these reports. I definitely focus on the Time Lord, like transits to the natal Time Lord. In my case, it would be Venus, and transits that the transiting Time Lord makes to other natal planets in my chart. Both are important. So like, you'd want to look at what transit Venus is also doing. I'm not sure exactly what it's doing right now. Oh, it's like squaring itself. That's nice. That's cute. Um, fucking awesome. Yeah. But so yeah, Venus squaring Venus. Yeah, it's been a yeah. Um, but yeah, you'd want to pay attention to that kind of stuff. And if the that is something though. If the transiting Time Lord happens to be making an aspect with the natal Time Lord, whatever that aspect might be, it might be a fucking trine, might be a fucking sextile, might be a fucking square, fucking opposition, whatever, fucking conjunction, which would be like a return of that planet. Definitely take note of that too, because there might that period of time might be important, might be particularly important for some reason. Obviously, this also depends on what all else is going on in the chart, right? Via transits, but you definitely want to. I definitely do highlight that kind of stuff, for sure. And then any transits that are just that the transiting Time Lord is making to any other natal planets, and any other transits that are being made to the natal Time Lord, such as like in my case, I know Neptune. Yeah, Neptune is squaring, transit Neptune is squaring natal Venus. So that's going on too. Fucking awesome. They're also both transit Venus and transit Neptune are squaring Chiron, but whatever, I won't go into all that. Who cares? But yeah, that's kind of what you do with them as far as what you look for. And they do seem like, okay, like, and sometimes transits will take longer. Like sometimes you'll have like, I don't know, your Time Lord might be Saturn, right? And a Saturn in transit might be transiting a natal planet longer than Saturn is your Time Lord. Or natal Saturn might be getting hit by a transiting planet longer than Saturn is your Time Lord. That doesn't mean it's not important once Saturn is no longer your Time Lord. And I use Saturn because Saturn transits take longer. It doesn't mean that particular transit is not important once Saturn becomes your Time Lord, but the period that Saturn is your Time Lord, those Saturn transits or transits to natal Saturn will probably be more important or more impactful. Yeah. Now for this, I don't get me wrong. I'm a bitch that likes fucking with both the with all the planets. Like I fuck with Uranus, I fuck with Neptune, I fuck with Pluto. I am not a traditionalist in that sense. I'm not. I fuck with a lot of other shit too. But when it comes to let me turn this off. When it comes to the Time Lord, you do want to look at traditional rulership for this. Um, I would look at both traditional and modern rulership. Like if you have, let's say, like next year, my I'll be in a 12th house year. Scorpio's on the cusp of my 12th house. So in that case, I would want to look at both. I would be looking at both Mars and Pluto. I would be looking at Mars as my Time Lord, but I would look at Pluto stuff too. Just because Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio, and Pluto's also the higher octave of Mars. So I do think that Pluto transits do play in, but your actual Time Lord, real Time Lord, is one of the traditional planets. But I would not discount the modern rulership here. I would definitely look at it. And the reason for that, I think the reason why some people will completely disregard modern rulership in this case is because those planets move very slow. They move very slow. So they're less likely to make a bunch of impact all over the chart, whereas Mars moves more quickly, say. So it'll touch a bunch of different things in the chart over the year. But I don't think that the modern planet should be ruled out here, because if nothing else, that Pluto transit that say has been going on for a while, if you're in like a Scorpio house here, that Pluto transit might be really felt, or that transit to natal Pluto might be really felt in that when you're in that Scorpio year, where Scorpio's on the cusp of whatever house you're in via annual perfections. It might really be felt in a way that it hasn't been. So I would definitely look at that. You could also look at things like the higher octaves, such as I recently had a client that is in a year where Aries is on the cusp of the house. Now, obviously, Aries doesn't have any rulership by Pluto, but Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. Mars is their Time Lord. So I would look at these kind of things too. I would. And I mean, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but I would look at both. I would look at these different ways of seeing this stuff. I definitely would. Another thing, I've seen it said that you can't do annual perfections unless you're using whole signs. Fuck that shit. I do not agree with that. That is my opinion. I know opinions are like assholes. You can do whatever the hell you want, but I do kind of gladly say fuck that shit. I think you can use whatever the hell you want, whatever the hell feels right to you. So I guess I throw that out there, because if you try to argue with me about that, I'm not going to argue with you. You are more than free to have your opinion, just as I am free to have mine. But yeah, I would definitely take a look at your own chart, see what your Time Lord is, see what house year you're in, the annual perfections, and see if any of those themes have come up. And also see if any of the themes have come up in the house that your Time Lord falls in your chart. That should be looked at too. And then definitely pay attention to that transiting Time Lord in transit and transits to the natal Time Lord, and the other things that I mentioned. Anyway, I hope that this was helpful for the people that did have some questions about this. I hope this was helpful. And I am going to go ahead and go, but I will put where you can find me below, and I will see you all later.